Today, we are tackling emotional chaos head-on. We're going to break down some seriously powerful psychological techniques, all backed by research, that are designed to help you not just get through the tough times, but to actually build some profound, lasting resilience.
You know that feeling, right? When you just can't think straight, you can't focus, and your emotions are completely running the show? It's overwhelming. It feels like you're literally fighting a battle inside your own head. But what if we've been looking at this whole battle completely wrong?
For so long, a lot of us were basically taught to see emotional pain as some kind of weakness, something you just gotta hide or shove down. But here's the crucial shift. Emotional pain isn't a flaw, it's a signal. Think of it like a check engine light for your mind. And if you can learn to read that signal, you stop being controlled by your emotions, and you actually start using them as fuel.
Okay, let's get right into it with our first set of tools. Think of these as your emotional first aid kit. These are the strategies you can pull out the very second you feel that spike of anger or fear or anxiety start to rise.
90 seconds. That's it? What on earth could possibly happen in just a minute and a half that could totally change your entire relationship with your emotions? Well, as it turns out, everything.
So, the science behind this is absolutely fascinating. Neuroanatomist Dr. Jill Boltz-Taylor discovered that when something triggers you, that chemical rush that floods your body, that raw feeling of pure emotion, it actually flushes out of your system in about 90 seconds. Any emotional drama that lasts longer than that, that's on us. We are re-triggering it with our thoughts. We're the ones feeding it, keeping that painful loop going.
The practical takeaway here is really simple, but it's not easy. When that emotion hits, your job isn't to fight it or fuel it. It's just to observe it. Tell yourself, okay, this is just a 90-second chemical reaction. Breathe. Just watch it rise and fall like a wave in the ocean. This is the real core of emotional regulation. It's not suppression. You're just training your brain to feel without totally falling apart.
When things go wrong, this is our default question, isn't it? Why is this happening to me? It's a question that comes from a place of helplessness, and it positions us as a victim. Honestly, it just keeps us stuck in that downward spiral.
But watch what happens when we just reframe the question. By simply asking, what is this trying to teach me? Well, we shift from being the victim to being the student. We take our power back. This right here is the essence of what's called cognitive reframing.
And look, this isn't just some fluffy motivational phrase. It's a core technique from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. The moment your brain starts searching for a lesson or some kind of meaning, it literally stops spiraling in panic. You didn't fail the interview, you just gathered data on what to improve for next time. This simple switch is what turns all that chaos into real clarity.
All right, let's move on to our next section, because this all builds on itself. Now that we've got some tools for the heat of the moment, let's talk about rewiring that internal narrator. That little voice in our head that's telling us stories all day long.
If your brain just never shuts up, you're not broken, you're probably just stuck in a loop called rumination. To break it, you can use this super simple 3-step pattern interrupt. First, just label it. Acknowledge what's happening by saying, this is rumination. Second, move your body. Even just standing up can reset your neural state. And third, refocus on a physical task. The brain can't overthink and be fully present in a physical action at the same time. Trust me, movement breaks mental loops way faster than logic ever can.
Okay, here is a psychological truth that can be so liberating. We have this tendency to replay our own awkward moments on a loop for days, convinced that everyone else is thinking about it too. But here's the thing, they're not. This phenomenon is called the spotlight effect, and it was identified by researchers at Cornell. It shows that most people are way too busy being the main character in their own movie to pay that much attention to yours. Understanding this gives you incredible freedom. It frees you from performing for an imaginary audience and allows you to just be, well, you.
Here's another subtle but really powerful change. On the left, we're totally consumed by a thought like, I feel so overwhelmed. But on the right, we're creating just a little bit of distance by saying, for instance, okay, Bob, you're feeling overwhelmed and you can handle this. That tiny bit of space, it makes all the difference in the world.
This technique is called self-distancing, and what's amazing is that research from the University of Michigan shows that this simple linguistic shift actually triggers the parts of your brain tied to problem-solving and self-regulation, instead of the parts that just want to hit the panic button. You're essentially coaching yourself, just like you would a friend that you really care about.
So we have tools for the moment, and we have tools for our inner monologue.
In our final section, we're going to look at long-term strategies. These are for building the kind of mental toughness that helps you thrive, not just survive, when life inevitably gets hard.
A lot of us are taught to only visualize success, right? But a technique called mental contrasting says that's only half the equation. The real key is to vividly imagine achieving your goal and then, immediately after, just as vividly, imagine the real-world obstacles that are going to get in your way.
What this process does is it prepares your brain for reality. This technique, developed by psychologist Gabriela Oettingen, builds what she calls implementation intentions. It basically means that when that early alarm goes off or that self-doubt creeps in, your brain isn't surprised. It already has a plan. And that is what makes you stick to your goals long after the motivation fades.
Now, to understand our final concept, let's start with something we all get. A fragile object, like a wine glass, right? It shatters when it comes under stress or pressure. Simple.
Next up, we have something that's resilient. It can take a hit. It might bend under pressure, but it bounces back to its original shape. It survives stress. And for a long time, this was seen as the goal.
But there's another level. This idea, coined by Nassim Taleb, is called anti-fragility. It describes a system that doesn't just survive stress, it actually gets stronger because of it. Think about muscles that grow back stronger after being torn in the gym. This is the ultimate aim, to use life's challenges as a catalyst to actually grow. This idea is perfectly captured in something called the Stockdale paradox. It's named for Admiral James Stockdale, who was a prisoner of war for 7 years. He said the prisoners who didn't make it were the optimists, the ones who kept saying, "We'll be out by Christmas," then Easter, then Thanksgiving. The ones who survived, they were the ones who blended this unwavering faith that they would survive in the end with the discipline to confront the brutal, harsh facts of their day-to-day reality.
You know, the key takeaway from all of this is that none of these tools are about suppressing emotions or just pretending things aren't hard. It's about understanding that emotional intelligence isn't a soft skill. It's a strategic skill. It's how you navigate the chaos of life without completely losing yourself in it. In the end, every single feeling you have is a piece of data. It's a message from you to you. The only real question is, now that you have some of the tools for translation, are you ready to start listening?